Hello, everybody, and welcome to our presentation. Today, we have one of the most procured topics in digital marketing, and that is how to build your market campaign and what are the factors you need to reconsider when you build your market campaign through a media buy. Now, eventually, right, we're going to be looking on the first part is that you need to build always an awareness to your in audience, right? So you need to physically, when you say raise awareness, so raise awareness, it means that you need to tell your uh, audience, right, about your product and the service. So what we're performing is a market funnel, and a market funnel, it means that we are trying to have at the top of the list an awareness to our product, to promote it, to make people to look on the benefit and the values that once they purchase our product. So that's very important to have marketing objectives, right? Now, you need to as well to have what we call the power of purchase. So you need to have an exposure to those audience, right? To the target audience in order to always select the product that you are emphasize to it and you are transparent to that product in which you go and you collect it, you buy it immediately. As well, it's very important that you have a power of action undertaken is that asking yourself a question: how can I, right, capture all the leads which they are on the social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and they become, right, as an active members into my website, on my page, and all of that. Now, all of that, it has a cost. So it's very important as well to have a cost to set for those objectives in order to achieve them. Now we have set our market campaign, right? So our question is that how do I know that my campaign is going to be a success or it's going to be a failure, right? So there are tools that helps us in order to measure the performance of our advert that we had set. So firstly, we need to look onto our ACTR. It's one of the measurements we need to look onto. That's called the average click-through rate. So when I go to my page, I see that how many per audience have been visited my website and how many person they had, right, just set a like, right, and they had an impression for it. Then we need to look on to the second part, which is called the conversion rate. So it's very basic: how many visitors onto my page, how many are the subscribers I have in my page, and comparing the number of people who are setting an impression, a like to my page. So I divide the number of people setting impression over the total number of leads that I have times 100%. That will give me a conversion rate telling me the number of percentage of people whom they have an impression to my page. And then we have what we call the CPC, the cost per click, right? And the cost per click, right, it is how much, right, that how what is the cost I'm getting per each click on my page. And then we have the CPM, and that is the cost per mile or the cost per impression. Then overall, I need to know, right, from those adverts, what is my revenue. So I need to look onto the return of the marketing, the return of investment. Now, return of the marketing, okay, so I'm giving a service and I'm giving a product in which I have polished it and I have exposed it to the audience. What is the revenue I have brought that? What did I make money from out of it, right? And then I need to look onto the cost per action, or we call it the cost per acquisition, right? So what is the cost that I'm taken by each impression has been taken by a person, right? Then we have the total customer acquisition. So what is the total customer acquisition being considered in that area? So those are the 9 key elements we look for the measurements towards our ads. So when it's very important that when we determine the objectives and the budget, right, we need to ask ourselves, are we targeting the current audience, the current leads we have to be qualified, or we're looking for the old qualified and we're trying to reinitiate them once more again. So it's very important to set a budget to that, whether I'm looking for the new campaign leads or qualified leads that are ordinary, and then I start selecting those qualified leads, or for that old ones we're going to be looking into in, as an old qualified leads. Then I need to determine the matching between my budget I have set for that marketing campaign compared to the competitor's campaign, and I have to set a profit margin for that sales that's going to be undertaken. Remember, as a start, you need to have that small companies, they always use 2 to 20 percent, right, of the market campaign. So for example, is that if I have, right, a $1,000, right, so for my campaign, so I would take 2% of it and I try to see that, okay, 2% of that 1,000, okay, and I try to invest it, or I may take 20%, that's $200, right, and I say, well, let's from out of the 1,000, I will try my market campaign for that amount and see what are the leads are going to be brought up. Are they ordinary leads or they are qualified leads? And then I can judge whether I should resume by having another budget set based on the returns of the measurement successful of it. I would say, okay, I will increase in the 200, I will make it 400 or 500 based on the return of investment brought. So when we talk about the third part, so I have defined our to build awareness. We said we need to have objectives, goals, right? We have to set a budget. The third item you need to look is to identify your target audience, and that's what we call it the persona, right? So when you look on your persona or your target audience, right, you do have what we call demographic and we have psychographic. And demographic, it is the location I'm going to perform the advert. Is it going to be in the Gulf region? Is it going to be in the Middle East? Is it going to be in Europe? It's going to be in the States. So where I'm going to perform, the geography, right? The company size, what's my company size? I mean, I could be a small limited liability company and I'm targeting big companies, right? Which it doesn't make realistic, right? Business industry, what sort of business industry I'm working into? Is an IT, engineering, civil, mechanics, right? Geographic, with GIS, right? So what sort of business industry? Psychographic is that, and that is how can I persuade people to purchase my product, to look onto my website, to have the power of purchase, right? To move them in order to start to purchase to make the demand on my product and service to be more reluctant, okay, compared to the competitors. So the fourth point is that in order to convey that audience, in order to come and select your product or service, so you need to have a certain message. So you need to have emotion intelligence. You need to suit a certain words, right, that emphasizes people to be emphasized with you, right? So they feel sympathy towards you. Oh yeah, well, that's the product we're gonna be getting. I think we need to purchase that. You need to emphasize your product and service. My product is more better than any other product because it has the values, it has the security. You need to use the words. Credibility, right? So how can I get the satisfaction, the credits from the target audience up towards my product? That's the way we're gonna plan for it. So you need to develop your media strategy, right? Which social media I'm going to be using, right? The Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Twitter, all of that needs to be looking. Now, when we said that we need to set a plan for our ad or market campaign, so we need to eventually set our goals, and then we need to look on our persona or the target audience. Then we need to choose which channel we're going to expose to it. Say which social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Then you need to set your budget, right? And you need to create a timeline for that. You need to make a plan and implement and track measurements through the 9 key measurements we talked about, which is the ACTR, right? And that's the average click-through rate, your conversion rate, your CPM, cost per mile or cost per impression, the CPC, cost per click, your return on investment, your ROM, and as well the CPA, and that is the cost per acquisition and the total cost per acquisitions being taken. Now, when you have the measurement analysis, so visually, right, you can look on which is the most reluctant social media channel that had brought to me the most qualified leads. Is it the Facebook? Is it the LinkedIn? Is it the Instagram, the Twitter? Then I start targeting that social media tool, right, to work with me for uh, capturing the most qualified uh, leads. So let's take a real life case we have implemented at SoftClick, right? And we had at that time a marketing objective we had set, right? SoftClick is a digital marketing company, software and a digital marketing company. And we had a marketing objective that is to provide with two consecutive products. We had an ERP system and we had another product called digital credit-free tokens for encrypting and decryption. That is for the email decryption and encryption. So the budget we had set for that market campaign, right, it was $2,000, and we divided the $2,000 into 4 quarters, each quarter having a $500, 25%. And we had to identify a target audience that we're going to set a target to is that we're going to be targeting B2B, business to business companies, trade industries, and pharmaceuticals, right? And we had set our message that we're going to convey and make an attraction for the power purchase of those target audience. So we had said that if you're not able to maintain the transaction of stock items facing difficulty in auditing the current stock in hand for future acquirers, looking for a tailored solution to maintain your inventory purchase stocks without further customization needed, right? Hesitant to purchase on a web ERP system that might be exposing your confidential information, then you have came to the right place, and Actrix Suite will need it to maintain your old stock control, purchase, finance, manufacturing, planning, suppliers, HR, and for free we have to provide you with a digital cryptography token. So we're gonna give you the digital cryptography token. It's for free. So the social media we had used that time, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn to convey the message. And then we had to perform our measurements, the 9 key measurements, ACTR and the CR and the CPC and the CPM and the ROI and ROM. And we had found that Facebook, it was the best part. Most of the audience that were on the Facebook, and we had to use that, and as well we started to target audience through it. So summarizing the whole thing, it's very important that you have objectives. You need to build awareness. You need to have the budget, the timeline. You need to understand your target audience, right? You need to think like a target audience. You need to have the message that conveys to target audience. It's very important to have a visual overlook on which of the social media tools that is more reluctant for capturing the most qualified leads, right? Comparing to the ordinary leads. And as well, we have to convey the message to them. 9 key elements we need to look onto for our measurements is you need to look on your ACTR, your average click per throughput rate. You need to look onto your conversion rate. You need to look on the CPM, cost per mile, or the cost per impression. You need to look also as well on your cost per click, and you need to look as well onto the return of investment, return of marketing on your products that has been done. You need to look as well on your CPA, and that is the cost per acquisition, right, taken, and the total cost per acquisition. I hope this session was great for information on how to build a market advert leads, right, and how the campaigns they being operated in a real life business. Thank you very much. Until we meet with another session in Media Buy. This is Muhammad Ahmed Zaki and PMO Director. Thank you very much.